The year was 2157, and Earth had finally reached the stars. While not really, humans could fly around their own solar system, visit Mars and mine asteroids, but they could not go beyond that. Other alien races moved between stars like humans drove cars on highways, but Earth was stuck in its own neighborhood. One morning, something strange appeared in Earth's orbit. It was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. The object was 2 kilometers long and shaped like a sharp blade. At first, everyone panicked. Was this an invasion? But then the aliens sent a message. The Scifistories were their name. They were a mid-level civilization in the galaxy. Nothing special, but far ahead of Earth. Their message was simple and almost insulting. They were giving Earth a gift, an old warship they no longer needed. The ship was called the HFY, and according to them, it was completely worthless. The engines barely worked, the weapons were outdated, and the whole thing was falling apart. They thought humans might learn something from studying it, like giving a child a broken toy to play with. Commander Sarah Chen was chosen to lead the first team aboard. She was a tough woman who had spent 10 years in space, fixing broken satellites and building stations around the moon. When her shuttle approached the alien ship, she felt her stomach twist. The HFY was beautiful in a strange way. Its hull had patterns that seemed to shift in the light, and parts of it were made from materials Earth had never seen before. Inside, everything was wrong. The corridors were too tall, the doors too wide. The Scifistories were not shaped like humans, so nothing fit right. Lights flickered in colors that hurt to look at. Some rooms were freezing cold while others were burning hot. The air smelled like metal and something sweet that made people dizzy. Sarah's team spread out through the ship, taking pictures and scanning everything. What they found was both exciting and depressing. Yes, the technology was incredibly advanced. The ship had a hyperdrive that could bend space, energy shields, and weapons that shot pure plasma. But none of it worked properly. The hyperdrive was cracked. The shields flickered on and off. Half the weapons were missing their power cores. Back on Earth, scientists and engineers gathered to study the data. Some said they should just take the ship apart and study the pieces. Others said that was a waste. Then Dr. Marcus Webb stood up in the meeting. He was a strange man who wore mismatched clothes and forgot to comb his hair, but he was also the smartest physicist on Earth. "Stop trying to understand how their technology works," Marcus said. "We will never think like them. Their physics is different, their math is different, everything is different. Instead, we should do what humans do best. We improvise, we adapt, we take what they built and make it ours." The room went silent. Then Sarah Chen smiled. She liked this idea. It was bold and probably crazy, but that was how humans survived. They were not the strongest or the smartest, but they never gave up. The United Earth Space Command approved the project. They would not try to fix the HFY the alien way. They would rebuild it the human way. Thousands of workers and engineers volunteered. The ship was towed to a construction platform near the moon and work began. The first 6 months were frustrating. Every time they tried to connect human technology to alien systems, something exploded or caught fire. Power conduits melted. Computer systems crashed. One team tried to restart the hyperdrive and accidentally created a gravity wave that made everyone on the platform float for 3 hours. But slowly, they figured it out. They could not fix the alien hyperdrive, so they built a new one using human fusion reactors. It was bigger and uglier, but it worked. They could not recharge the energy shields, so they welded sheets of titanium armor over the weak spots. They removed the broken plasma weapons and installed human railguns and missile tubes instead. Where the aliens had one main computer, humans installed 100 backup systems. The ship started to look different. The smooth alien lines were broken up by human additions. It looked like someone had taken a sports car and attached truck parts to it. Some engineers thought it was ugly. Others thought it was perfect. 18 months after the project started, something unexpected happened. While a team was clearing out an old storage bay, they accidentally activated something. Deep in the ship's systems, a distress beacon turned on. It was old alien technology, buried so deep that no one had noticed it before. The beacon sent out a signal into deep space. On Earth, military commanders panicked. They tried to shut it off, but the alien code was too complex. The beacon transmitted for 6 hours before its power finally died. Sarah Chen stood in the command center, watching the stars on the screen. "What have we done?" someone whispered behind her. Nobody knew what had heard that signal. Nobody knew if anything was coming. But one thing was certain. Earth had announced its presence to the galaxy, and whatever was out there now knew that humans had taken the HFY. In the maintenance bay, workers continued welding and building. The ship was not finished yet, but it would be soon. They had renamed it. The alien name HFY was gone. Now it was called the Prometheus Unbound, after the old story of humans who stole fire from the gods. Dr. Marcus Webb stood near one of the new railguns, running his hand along the metal. "They gave us their trash," he said to Sarah Chen. "Let us see what we can do with it." Sarah nodded. She had a feeling they would find out very soon. The months after the distress beacon incident were filled with hard work and fear. Everyone knew something might be coming, but nobody knew when. So humanity did what it always did. They kept working, kept building, kept improving. The Prometheus Unbound was changing every day. Engineers treated the ship like it was alive, constantly fixing and upgrading. They could not match alien elegance, so they chose reliability instead. For every system, they built a backup. For every backup, they built another. The aliens thought this was wasteful, but humans knew that in space, redundancy meant survival. Workers started adding personal touches to the ship. They painted names of dead astronauts on the hull. They welded good luck charms into corners. One team engraved the names of their children into a corridor wall. The Prometheus was becoming more than a machine. It was becoming a symbol of Earth's defiance. The ship's new weapons were particularly impressive. Humans had removed the alien plasma cannons, which needed rare fuel that Earth could not produce. In their place, they mounted railguns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speeds. They added missile pods loaded with nuclear-tipped warheads. They even installed old-fashioned chemical explosive charges, simple bombs that the aliens would probably laugh at. But Dr. Marcus Webb had a theory. "The galaxy has been peaceful for thousands of years," he explained to the weapons team. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and plasma. Nobody has used kinetic weapons or nuclear explosives in centuries. They have forgotten how to defend against them. It was a gamble, but it made sense. Sometimes old technology surprised people who had gotten too comfortable with the new." 16 months after work began, the moment everyone feared finally arrived. A ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was small, just a patrol vessel, but it was definitely HFY. The aliens had come to check on their distress beacon. Commander Sarah Chen was on the Prometheus when the alert came. The ship was not fully ready, but it could fly and fight if needed. She ordered all crew to battle stations and sent a message to Earth Command. Whatever happened next would change everything. The alien ship approached slowly, scanning everything. Then they sent a message. The translation came through in a flat mechanical voice that somehow still managed to sound arrogant. "Primitive humans, we have detected unauthorized activation of our vessel. The ship HFY remains property of the HFY Empire. You will cease all activities and prepare to return our property." Sarah Chen read the message 3 times. Then she laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had spent 18 months bleeding and sweating to save a ship the aliens called garbage. She recorded her response carefully. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Command. The ship you abandoned is now Earth property. You gave it to us. If you want it back, you will need to take it." The response came quickly. "You do not understand your position. We are offering you one chance. Return the vessel or face consequences." Sarah looked at her crew. They were scared, but they were also angry. Behind them, Earth waited. She made her choice. "Come and take it," she said. The alien patrol ship powered up its weapons. They fired a warning shot. A bright beam of plasma that streaked past the Prometheus and vaporized a small asteroid in the distance. It was meant to scare them, to show humans how outmatched they were. Captain Jakob Steiner was the new tactical officer. He was a former submarine commander who understood something important about warfare. Sometimes the side with better weapons did not win. Sometimes the crazy side won. "Fire missile spread pattern Delta," he ordered calmly. The Prometheus launched 6 missiles. They were not fancy. They were just nuclear warheads strapped to rockets, the kind of weapon Earth had been building for 200 years. Simple, reliable, and very deadly. The HFY ship reacted exactly as Dr. Webb predicted. Their shields came up, designed to absorb energy weapons. The shields were perfect for stopping lasers and plasma, but they were not designed for physical objects traveling at high speed. The first missile hit the shield and exploded. The nuclear blast did not penetrate, but it caused the shield to flicker. The second missile hit the same spot 1 second later. The shield collapsed. The third, fourth, fifth, and sixth missiles struck the bare hull. The alien ship did not explode like in movies. Instead, it just stopped working. Its engines died, its lights went out, and it began drifting. Sarah could see small explosions inside it through the viewports. The ship was crippled. A message came through, and this time the alien voice sounded different. Shocked. You use nuclear weapons in space combat? That is barbaric, Sarah smiled. That is human. The alien patrol ship limped away using emergency thrusters. It would take them weeks to reach the nearest Zixthari outpost, plenty of time for them to think about what happened. On Earth, celebrations erupted. Humanity had fought an alien ship and won, but in the command center of the Prometheus, Sarah Chen was not celebrating. She knew what came next. They will come back, Captain Steiner said quietly. And they will bring more ships, Sarah nodded. Then we better finish our work. The next 3 months were intense. Every nation on Earth contributed resources. The Prometheus was completed faster than anyone thought possible. More weapons were added. The armor was reinforced. The hybrid systems were tested again and again until they worked perfectly. But humans did something else too. They started planning tactics. Captain Steiner gathered every military officer he could find. They studied everything they knew about alien combat doctrine. The Zixthari fought with precision and overwhelming force. They followed rules and protocols. They fought like chess players, calculating every move. Then we will fight like poker players, Steiner said. We will bluff, we will cheat, and we will make them think we are crazy. 3 months and 2 days after the first battle, sensors picked up 6 ships entering the solar system. This time it was not a patrol. It was a battle group, sent to reclaim the Kethvar and punish Earth for its defiance. The Zixthari commander, Vexlar, led the fleet. He sent a message to Earth. There would be no more warnings, no more chances. The primitive humans would surrender the ship and submit to Zixthari authority, or they would be destroyed. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus unbound and looked at her crew. These were volunteers, every one of them. They knew the odds. They knew they might die. But they also knew they were making history. Load all weapons, she ordered. Prepare for combat. And remember, we are not trying to fight fair. We are trying to survive. Captain Steiner smiled as he studied the tactical display. The alien ships were approaching in a standard formation, confident and precise. They did not know it yet, but they were about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Humans did not play by the rules. Humans played to win. The Zixthari battle group approached like predators who knew they had already won. 6 ships against 1. Advanced technology against primitive improvisation. It should have been simple. Commander Vexlar sat in his command chair reviewing the tactical display. The human ship was moving toward the moon, trying to hide behind it. How predictable. How pathetic. His ships would surround the moon, cut off escape routes, and destroy the humans easily. All ships maintain formation, he ordered. Weapons ready. Shields at maximum. This will be over quickly. On the Prometheus, Captain Steiner watched the alien ships approach. He had spent his whole career in submarines hunting and being hunted in Earth's oceans. Space was different, but some principles were the same. Use the terrain, hide, strike, disappear. Take us around the moon, close to the surface, he ordered. Prepare remote detonation packages. The crew moved quickly. 3 months ago, they had seeded the area around the moon with surprises. Old asteroid mining charges reprogrammed to work as space mines. They were simple explosives, nothing fancy, but they were invisible to most sensors because they were not powered until activated. The alien ships split up, 3 going around each side of the moon. They moved confidently, their shields glowing with power. They were following standard military doctrine, executing a textbook encirclement. That was their first mistake. The Prometheus hugged the moon's surface, using the terrain to block sensors. When the first 3 alien ships came around the north side, they ran straight into the minefield. Steiner pressed a button and 20 mining charges exploded at once. The aliens were not expecting physical explosives. Their shields flickered and failed in several spots. 2 ships took damage to their hull. More importantly, they panicked and broke formation. All weapons fire, Sarah Chen ordered. The Prometheus rose from behind the moon like a shark breaching the water. Railguns fired solid metal slugs that punched through weakened shields. Missiles streaked toward the confused alien ships. The humans were not trying to be elegant or efficient. They were trying to cause chaos. One alien ship tried to return fire, but the Prometheus was already moving, using cold gas thrusters to slide sideways like a submarine changing depth. The plasma beam missed by 100 meters. "They are moving like a wounded animal," one alien officer reported to Vexillar. "Random, unpredictable. Our targeting systems cannot compensate," Vexillar snarled. This was not how civilized species fought. This was chaos. This was insanity. The three ships from the south side of the moon tried to help their companions, but Steiner had planned for that too. The Prometheus vented heat and engine plasma, creating a cloud of debris and radiation. To the alien sensors, it looked like the human ship was everywhere and nowhere at once. "Sir, our sensors are being jammed by their engine emissions," another officer reported. "We cannot get a clear lock." "Then fire blind," Vexillar ordered. "Saturate the area." The aliens began firing wildly, but the Prometheus was already somewhere else. Steiner was using every trick he knew. The ship would fire weapons, then go dark and drift like a dead hulk. It would appear on sensors in one location, then actually be in another. It was maddening to fight against, but humans were taking damage too. One lucky shot from an alien beam weapon scorched through the jury-rigged armor, venting atmosphere from a cargo bay. Another hit damaged one of the railgun turrets. Red lights flashed across the bridge as systems strained under combat stress. "Hull breach on Deck 7, someone reported. "Sealing bulkheads." Sarah Chen gripped her chair. They were hurting the aliens, but it was not enough. 6 ships against 1 were still bad odds, no matter how tricky they were. Then Steiner did something completely insane. "All power to engines," he ordered. "Collision course with the lead ship." "Full speed," Sarah stared at him. "You want to ram them?" "They will dodge," Steiner said calmly. "Their protocols will not allow collision. They will panic and break formation even more." It was crazy. It was reckless. It was completely against every rule of space combat. Sarah Chen smiled. "Do it." The Prometheus surged forward directly toward Vexillar's command ship. Alarms screamed on the alien bridge. Ramming was something that had not been used in galactic warfare for thousands of years. It was considered primitive, wasteful, and stupid, but Vexillar saw the human ship coming straight at him, and he felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. Evasive maneuvers. He shouted. "All ships, break formation." The Zixthari ships scattered like startled fish, and in that moment of chaos, with their formation broken and their discipline shattered, the Prometheus struck. Railguns fired at point-blank range into one ship's engines. Missiles locked onto another ship's bridge. The humans were not trying to be honorable. They were trying to kill. Then Steiner made his move. At the last second, he used the moon's gravity to slingshot the Prometheus around in a tight turn. The human ship did not ram Vexillar's vessel. Instead, it scraped along the side of another alien cruiser, the humans' reinforced titanium armor grinding against the alien's delicate hull. Metal screamed against metal. Sparks flew in the airless void. The alien ship's hull cracked open like an egg, venting atmosphere and crew into space. 2 ships destroyed, someone reported. 2 more heavily damaged. The remaining 2 are retreating. Sarah Chen could not believe it. They had won. Against 6 ships using nothing but improvisation and insanity, humanity had won. But there was no time to celebrate. The Prometheus was badly damaged. Fires burned in 3 sections. The hybrid reactor was overheating. Half the weapons were offline. "Get repair teams moving," Sarah ordered. "Patch what you can. We need to be ready for round 2. Vexillar's remaining ships retreated to the edge of the solar system. On his bridge, the commander stared at the tactical display in disbelief. He had lost 4 ships to 1 primitive vessel. It was impossible. It was shameful. He sent his report to the Zixthari High Command. His message was simple. The humans fought like nothing the galaxy had seen in centuries. They did not follow doctrine. They did not fight with honor. They fought to survive, and they were dangerously effective. 3 days later, Earth received a message, but it was not from the Zixthari. It was from something called the Galactic Concord, a coalition of hundreds of alien species. The message was formal and polite, but the meaning was clear. Humanity had made noise. The galaxy had noticed. And now Earth would have to prove it deserved to exist. Commander Sarah Chen read the message and felt a mix of pride and fear. They had won 1 battle, but the war for humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning. In the repair bay, workers welded new armor plates over the damaged sections of the Prometheus. Someone had spray-painted words on the hull in big, bold letters, "Earth's finest garbage." Sarah smiled when she saw it. That was exactly what they were. Abandoned trash, remade into something the galaxy had never expected. Something dangerous, something unstoppable. The message from the Galactic Concord arrived on a Tuesday morning. It was transmitted in 17 different languages, each one precisely translated. The tone was diplomatic but firm. Earth was invited to participate in the trials of ascension. The trials were ancient, dating back thousands of years. They were war games where new civilizations proved they were ready to join the galaxy. The Concord explained that Earth's victory over the Zixthari had caught attention. Now humanity had to prove it was not a dangerous accident waiting to happen. There were 3 options. Participate and succeed, gaining a seat in the Galactic Concord. Participate and fail, accepting isolation and observation for the next century. Or refuse, which would be treated as a hostile act and result in a containment fleet around Earth. It was not really a choice at all. Earth's leaders met in emergency sessions. Some argued they should refuse, that humanity was not ready. Others said this was the opportunity they needed. In the end, Commander Sarah Chen made the decision simple. "They expect us to fail," she said. "They think we got lucky against the Zixthari. Let us show them what humans can really do." The trials would consist of 3 challenges against established galactic powers. Earth would face opponents who had been traveling the stars for centuries, who had technology humanity could barely understand. But the Prometheus Unbound had survived impossible odds before. The first challenge came 2 months later. It was called the Endurance Run, a race through an asteroid field. Earth's opponent was the Catharn Swarm, a species of insect-like aliens who flew multiple small ships in perfect coordination. They were fast, precise, and had never lost this particular trial. Captain Steiner studied the course for days. The rules were simple. Navigate through a dense asteroid field filled with obstacles and hazards. First ship to reach the beacon on the other side won. No weapons allowed, but shields and defensive systems were permitted. The Catharn arrived in 12 small ships, each one moving in perfect sync with the others. They looked like a school of fish, beautiful and deadly. Their ships were sleek and fast, designed for exactly this kind of challenge. The Prometheus looked like a garbage truck by comparison. Big, slow, and covered in armor plating. The race began, and immediately the Catharn pulled ahead. Their ships danced through the asteroids, splitting up and reforming in patterns that seemed impossible. They were halfway through the course before the Prometheus even got started. "They are going to beat us," someone said on the bridge. "Maybe," Steiner replied, "but we are not playing their game." Before the race, human engineers had done something unexpected. They had built 50 small drones, each one barely bigger than a basketball. These drones could not move fast or do much damage, but they could do one thing very well. They could tether together. As the Prometheus moved through the asteroid field, it released the drones. They spread out and connected to each other with thin cables made of carbon fiber. Suddenly, instead of one ship, Earth had a network. The drones could not move the Prometheus, but they could move asteroids. When the Catharn ships came back around for their second lap, they found the course had changed. Asteroids had been shifted. New obstacles blocked their perfect paths. The insect aliens were confused. The course was not supposed to change. That was not in the rules, but technically, it was not against the rules either. The rules said no weapons. The drones were not weapons. They were just tools. The Catharn adapted quickly, but they had lost their rhythm. Meanwhile, the Prometheus used its drones to clear a path through the densest part of the field. The human ship was not fast, but it was steady and it did not stop. Earth won by 17 seconds. The Galactic Concord observers were divided. Some said it was clever. Others said it was cheating. In the end, they declared it a valid victory. Earth had passed the first trial. The second challenge was different. It was called Tactical Elimination, a mock battle against the Velshir Empire. The Velshir were famous warriors who had perfected space combat over 10,000 years. Their ships were powerful, their tactics were flawless, and they took pride in never losing these trials. The Velshir commander sent a message before the battle. "We look forward to teaching you proper warfare, humans. You have fought with tricks and luck. Today you face skill." Steiner read the message and laughed. "They want to give us a lesson? Fine. We will teach them something too." The battle was supposed to be a straightforward fight. Two ships, limited ammunition, fight until one surrendered or was disabled. Simple and clean. The Velshire ship was beautiful, covered in elegant curves and glowing energy fields. It moved with grace and purpose. When the battle began, it immediately took a dominant position and began firing precise energy beams. The Prometheus took hits, but the heavy armor held. Then the human ship did something strange. It retreated, running away from the fight. The Velshire commander was confused. Were the humans surrendering already? He ordered his ship to pursue. That was his mistake. The Prometheus led the Velshire ship into a debris field left over from the first trial. Once there, the human ship suddenly reversed course and launched every drone it had. The drones were not armed, but they did not need to be. They just needed to get in the way. The Velshire ship found itself surrounded by dozens of small, fast-moving objects. Their elegant weapon systems struggled to target so many tiny things at once. While they were distracted, the Prometheus fired a spread of missiles, but these missiles did something unexpected. They did not target the Velshire ship. Instead, they targeted the large asteroids nearby, breaking them into thousands of smaller pieces. Suddenly, the battlefield was full of debris flying in every direction. The Velshire shields held against the rocks, but their sensors were overwhelmed. They could not see clearly. They could not target effectively. And while they struggled to adapt, the Prometheus fired its railguns through the chaos. The solid metal slugs had no trouble flying through debris. They punched straight through the Velshire shields, which were not designed for physical projectiles, and struck the enemy ship's engines. The Velshire commander surrendered, shocked and angry. He sent a message calling the human tactics dishonorable and cowardly. Steiner's reply was simple. We did not come here to be honorable. We came here to win. Earth had passed the second trial. The final challenge was called the Crucible. Details were kept secret until the day of the trial. When the Prometheus arrived, the conquered officials explained the test. The ship would face an ancient automated defense system, a station built by a long-dead civilization. The system was designed to be unbeatable. Hundreds of species had tried. A few survived. None had won. The goal was not to destroy the station. That was impossible. The goal was to survive for 1 hour under constant attack. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge and looked at her crew. They had come so far. They had won against impossible odds twice already, but this time felt different. This time the galaxy expected them to fail. Captain Steiner, she said quietly. Tell me you have a plan, Steiner smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who was about to do something crazy. We are not going to survive for an hour, he said. We are going to win, the Concord observers protested. Winning was impossible. The station was too powerful, but there was no rule against trying. The Prometheus approached the ancient station and immediately weapon systems came alive. Hundreds of turrets began firing. Energy beams, missiles, plasma bolts, everything at once. The human ship's shields held for about 10 seconds before collapsing. Then Steiner did the unthinkable. He flew the Prometheus straight into the station's docking bay. 2 years had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Concord. In that time, humanity had built 3 more ships using the lessons learned from the Prometheus. They were not copies of the original. Each one was unique, combining alien technology with human innovation in different ways, but the Prometheus Unbound remained special. It was the first, the symbol of everything humanity had achieved. Sarah Chen had been promoted to admiral, but she still kept her quarters on the old ship. She could not let it go. Earth's success had not made everyone happy. Some alien civilizations welcomed humanity. Others were afraid of what these aggressive, unpredictable newcomers might do. And one species, the ancient Corvash Empire, saw humans as a threat that needed to be eliminated. The Corvash had ruled a quarter of the galaxy 5,000 years ago. Now they were fading, their territory shrinking, their influence declining. They blamed others for their problems, and they especially blamed the Galactic Concord for allowing primitive species like humans to rise. The Corvash did not declare war. They did not need to. They simply attacked Earth's new colony on a planet called Haven, killing 8,000 civilians in a surprise strike. Their message was clear: stay small, stay weak, or be destroyed. Earth's response was immediate. The Prometheus and its sister ships were mobilized, but this time humanity did not fight alone. The Catharn, who had lost to Earth in the trials, offered their ships in support. They said humans had taught them that there was more than one way to win. Several other species joined as well, forming a coalition fleet. The Corvash were waiting with their greatest weapon, a world-breaker-class dreadnought. It was a ship designed to crack planets, 3 times larger than the Prometheus and equipped with weapons that could sterilize a world. Facing it were 12 coalition ships, including 4 human vessels. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, studying the tactical display. The Corvash dreadnought sat at the center of their fleet like a spider in a web. It was protected by shields that could withstand a star going supernova. Its weapons could destroy a ship from 1,000,000 kilometers away. "We cannot win a straight fight," Captain Steiner said. He was still the tactical officer, still the man who found ways to win impossible battles. "That ship is too strong." "Then we do not fight straight," Chen replied. "We fight human." The battle plan was insane. The coalition fleet would engage the Corvash ships in a conventional fight, drawing their attention. Meanwhile, the Prometheus would do what it did best, something crazy. The battle began at dawn, Earth time. The coalition ships spread out in a defensive formation, exactly what the Corvash expected. The enemy fleet advanced confidently, their dreadnought hanging back while smaller ships engaged. For an hour, the battle raged. Ships on both sides took damage. 2 human vessels were crippled, a Catharn ship was destroyed, but the coalition held its position, fighting desperately. The Corvash commander watched from his dreadnought and smiled. These primitives and their allies were brave, but bravery did not win battles. He ordered his ship forward to deliver the killing blow. That was when the Prometheus made its move. The human ship had been hiding behind a moon, completely powered down, invisible to sensors. Now it surged forward at full speed, all engines burning at maximum. But it was not heading for the enemy fleet. It was heading for the dreadnought's hangar bay. "They are attempting a boarding action?" The Corvash commander laughed. "Suicidal fools." But Chen was not planning to board. She was planning something far more permanent. "All crew evacuate to escape pods," she ordered. "We have 2 minutes." The crew had trained for this. They moved quickly, efficiently, abandoning their posts and racing to the escape pods. They had known this might be necessary. They had volunteered anyway. Sarah Chen was the last person on the bridge. She set the final commands into the computer and then ran for her own escape pod. Behind her, the Prometheus continued its course, automated systems guiding it perfectly. Captain Steiner's escape pod ejected just as the Prometheus entered the dreadnought's massive hangar bay. The human ship was not trying to stop. It was going full speed, and it was about to do something no ship in galactic history had ever done. The Prometheus's hybrid reactors, the fusion cores jury-rigged to alien technology, were pushed beyond their limits. The safety systems, the backups, the redundancies, all were disabled. The reactors began to overload. The Corvash commander finally understood what was happening. He tried to order his ship to move, to close the hangar bay doors, anything. But it was too late. The Prometheus Unbound crashed deep into the heart of the dreadnought. 1 second later, its reactors exploded. The blast was not nuclear. It was something worse. A combination of fusion energy and alien power systems that had never been meant to work together, now tearing themselves apart. The explosion ripped through the dreadnought from the inside, where its shields could not protect it. The great ship that could crack planets died in a flash of light. Its shields collapsed. Its hull broke apart. 15,000 Corvash crew died instantly. The enemy fleet, seeing their pride destroyed, surrendered immediately. In her escape pod, Sarah Chen watched the debris field expand. Somewhere in that cloud of metal and fire was the Prometheus, the ship that aliens had thrown away, the ship humans had rebuilt with sweat and stubbornness, the ship that had changed everything. She felt tears on her face and did not wipe them away. 3 months later, Earth held a memorial ceremony. All the crew of the Prometheus had survived, but the ship itself was gone. In a park in Geneva, they built a monument. It showed a starship, half elegant alien curves and half crude human welds. At the base were words in 100 languages. They built it. "We made it unstoppable." The Galactic Concord offered Earth full membership, no trials, no questions. The Corvash Empire was forced to pay reparations and retreated to their core worlds. Other species looked at humanity with new respect and new fear. But more importantly, something had changed in how the galaxy thought about technology and warfare. The aliens had perfected their ships over thousands of years, making them elegant and efficient. They had forgotten that sometimes the crude solution, the backup plan, the desperate improvisation could win. Humanity taught them an old lesson. It did not matter how advanced your technology was if you were not willing to push it to the breaking point. Dr. Marcus Webb, now old and gray, stood at the monument and placed his hand on the metal. A reporter asked him what humans would do next. "We will build more ships," he said. "Better ships. But we will never forget what the Prometheus taught us. The galaxy gave us their trash and we turned it into a legend. That is what humans do. We take what others throw away and we make it matter." In orbit above Earth, construction had already begun on 5 new vessels. They were bigger, stronger, incorporating lessons from the Prometheus. But the engineers made sure to include one feature on every ship. Somewhere on each vessel, hidden in a corridor or maintenance bay, were the words, "Built from scrap." Made unstoppable, it was a reminder, a promise, a warning to anyone who thought humanity could be dismissed or ignored. Earth had entered the galaxy as the weakest species, the newest, the most primitive. Now 2 years later, they were partners, allies, and when necessary, warriors. Not because they had the best technology or the strongest weapons, but because they never gave up, because they improvised, because they took what others called worthless and made it legendary. The Prometheus Unbound was gone, but its legacy would fly among the stars forever. And somewhere in a Zixathari museum, there was a small display with a piece of hull plating from the original Kethvar. The description read, "Abandoned by us, transformed by them." A reminder that the most dangerous species in the galaxy is not the strongest or smartest. It is the one that refuses to accept limits. Sarah Chen, now in command of Earth's entire space fleet, stood in her office and looked at a picture on her wall. It showed the Prometheus on its first flight, ugly and beautiful at the same time, more human than alien, more legend than machine. She smiled and got back to work. The galaxy was large and humanity had a lot more to prove. But they had made their point. They had started with garbage and created something unstoppable, and they were just getting started.